All right, today we are diving into a story that honestly feels like it's been ripped straight from a science fiction movie. We're talking about a mysterious object from another star system named 3I/Atlas that's passing through our cosmic backyard right now. But here's the thing. This isn't just any visitor. Its behavior is so weird, so completely unexpected, that it's forcing a really serious debate about one of the biggest questions we've ever asked. Are we alone? Okay, let's get into it. So picture this. It's the summer of 2025. A telescope in Chile spots this tiny point of light moving incredibly fast. After crunching the numbers, astronomers confirmed it. This thing was not from around here. It came from the vast, empty space between the stars, making it only the third interstellar object we've ever managed to spot. Now, to really understand why this particular visitor is causing such a commotion, we kind of have to meet the ones that came before it. You probably remember our first visitor, Oumuamua. It was that bizarre cigar-shaped rock that weirdly sped up as it left. Then came Borisov, which was, fine. It looked and acted just like a normal comet. But 3I Atlas? Man, it is on a whole other level. This thing is an absolute behemoth, maybe up to 5.5 kilometers wide, and its behavior is, well, it's anything but normal. And get this, if you want to talk about how truly alien this thing is, the latest analysis suggests 3I/Atlas is about 7 billion years old. That means it was already ancient, like 3 billion years old, when our own sun and Earth were just starting to form. This thing has been wandering the galaxy for an almost unimaginable amount of time. And honestly, the closer we look, the stranger it gets. The data our best telescopes are sending back is painting a picture of something we've just never seen before. So take a look at the gas cloud around it. It's Coma. When the James Webb Space Telescope took a peek, the results were just stunning. That cloud was 87% carbon dioxide. Now, for comparison, the comets from our own solar system are all about water vapor. This CO2 level is so far off the charts that scientists are calling it a 4.5 sigma anomaly. That's just a fancy statistical way of saying this should be practically impossible. And then, another shocker. Our instruments detected a ton of nickel in that same gas cloud. The bizarre part, there was no iron. In nature, nickel and iron are basically cosmic twins. They're cooked up together in dying stars, and you almost always find them together. Separating them is incredibly difficult in nature. In fact, the only place we see it happen on a regular basis is right here on Earth, in industrial manufacturing. And that one weird chemical fact is the launch pad for a pretty extraordinary claim, coming from a very prominent Harvard astrophysicist. This is Professor Avi Loeb. He argues that when you find something this weird, you can't just write off the possibility that it might not be a rock. His whole point is that the anomalies with 1I/Atlas are just so huge, we have to at least consider the idea that we're looking at a piece of alien technology.
So Loeb lays out his case, and it's built on a few key observations. First, its trajectory. It flew directly behind the sun from our vantage point, right when it hit the perfect spot to use the sun's gravity for a fuel-saving slingshot called the Oberth effect. Second, its path is really close to the plane that our planets orbit on, the ideal path for a reconnaissance flyby. And finally, you've got that industrial-looking chemical signature. You put it all together, and Loeb is basically asking, is this all just a massive series of coincidences, or is it by design?
As you can probably imagine, that idea was met with a ton of skepticism. So let's flip the coin and take a hard look at the counter-arguments. That so-called stealth trajectory where it hid behind the sun, well, it turns out it's not that unusual. Because of simple orbital mechanics, somewhere between 20 and 35% of all comets have their closest approach to the sun hidden from our view. It's actually a pretty common alignment. And what about that targeted path along the plane of the planets? Well, scientists have a pretty simple explanation for that one too. It's called observational bias. We find things where we're already looking, and our telescopes spend most of their time scanning that plane because, well, that's where all our planets are. As for that really strange chemistry, other scientists have pushed back, saying, hang on. They've proposed some exotic but completely natural chemical processes, like something called metal carbonyl chemistry, that could, in theory, separate nickel from iron in the super cold, unique conditions you might find in other star systems. So the key takeaway is there are potential natural explanations, even if they're weird ones. So really, at the heart of this whole thing are two clashing philosophies. You've got Avi Loeb, who argues that being too conservative, too afraid to even think about wild possibilities, is what keeps us from making the next big discovery.
But the scientific establishment pushes back with its most fundamental rule, the one often credited to Carl Sagan. They say, look, these claims are fascinating, but the evidence we have so far just isn't extraordinary. It's weird, absolutely, but it hasn't cleared the incredibly high bar you need to rewrite the textbooks.
But here's the thing. This story is far from over. In fact, some of the most mind-bending discoveries have happened just in the last few weeks as 3I Atlas finished its trip around the sun.
Okay, this is the biggest twist yet. After getting absolutely blasted by the sun's heat, right at the moment a normal comet should have grown a massive, brilliant tail of gas and dust, the new pictures came back showing almost nothing. It's just a fuzzy ball. This has completely stunned everybody. If it was outgassing enough to change its course, where's all the stuff it was supposed to be spewing out? Where is the tail? And if that wasn't strange enough, in early November, astronomers found another object. This one, C/2025 V1 Borisov, was spotted on a path almost directly between 3I Atlas and us here on Earth. And get this, it also seems to be mysteriously tailless. Now, this could just be a wild coincidence, but it's another detail that just adds a whole new layer of mystery to this whole drama. This timeline just shows how fast everything is moving. The object just whipped past the sun, the no-tail pictures are brand new, and that second object is making its own close approach as we speak. But the main event for 3I/Atlas is December 19th. That's when it gets closest to Earth, giving our telescopes the absolute best look we're ever going to get. So, as we wait for more data to come in, we're left with this incredible cosmic puzzle. 3I/Atlas is pushing the absolute boundaries of what we thought was possible. Whether it's a completely new kind of natural object or something else, its visit is forcing us to ask some really fundamental questions about how we even do science. It really makes you wonder, where is that line between scientific imagination and cold, hard proof?